Hello and welcome to the Weekend Papers Games of the Year. This is part 1 where I'm covering Infamous Second Son because it's the first game this year that I played that I after finishing I thought this is definitely one of my favorite games this year, but that was really early on. But it turns out Infamous had lasting appeal for me. I was able to keep playing this game well into the summer. Even after I'd completed it, I found myself just coming back to it, exploring Seattle some more, running around that world, trying to get all the shards, trying to get all the upgrades, and just running around exploring and enjoying all of the different powers that it puts at your fingertips. And full disclosure, I've never played any of the other Infamous games. I've heard from people who have that this one's not quite as good as the first two, depending on your tastes, I suppose. You know, for me, I wanted a good exclusive for my PlayStation 4, and this is definitely a great exclusive game for the PS4. I really enjoyed it. I had a blast. The story, you can see, like, the graphics are amazing. The animation of the characters. Troy Baker plays Delson Rowe, the main character here. And he does a great job. It's a funny game. The dialogue's really witty. At times it can get pretty heavy. There's some serious allegory going on. I've heard people say that these characters aren't as relatable, and maybe Delson's not as relatable as Cole was in the other Infamous games. I don't know. But the other characters that you interact with, the other conduits that you come into, that you encounter, they're fantastic. Everybody knows about Fetch because she had a DLC, standalone DLC based on her story, and she's really cool. But even when she kind of disappears from the story, other characters step in that, in my opinion, are just as interesting in their own right. So I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed a lot of what the story had to say and what it was trying to do. And as I mentioned, as you can see, the graphics are fantastic. All around, the animation, the special effects, the particle effects, the lighting, the water effects, everything is just phenomenal. The smoke, the neon, the television powers. Yes, television powers. They're all great. The concrete, the explosions. It's one of the prettiest games on the PlayStation 4. I don't. Also, disclosure about the weekend paper and my choices of game of the year. I don't own an Xbox One, so I don't have the ability to talk about games like Sunset Overdrive because I haven't played that. That game looks awesome. It looks similar to Infamous, but more over the top. And by all accounts, that's a really good thing. Sunset Overdrive looks like a lot of fun. I'd love to play that game. I just haven't had the opportunity. Therefore, I can't consider it for Game of the Year. But Infamous, for what it is great, and I really enjoyed it. So take that for what you will. And then, the other thing about Infamous and what you're not seeing in the footage here is that the city is huge, and you're constantly running around. There's always different things to do. There's different missions to take on. The missions start to get a little bit repetitive, but you don't have to do them. You can still just explore, and there's plenty to do when you're just exploring. And the story missions last quite a while. The story took me upwards of 20 hours to complete, and it goes in a lot of different directions. Also, I should note that Augustine, the main villain in the story, is also great. She's a really interesting character with a lot of depth. There's more to her than meets the eye at the beginning of the game. And what I really like about Infamous is that it's a superhero story that's not afraid to have its own identity, and not just be about superheroes. I mean, it's why I like the X-Men series so much, because it's about more than just mythology, and I don't know. I don't know how to explain why I like these kind of grounded superhero stories, but I do. It's a lot about what being a superhero in today's society would mean. Like, what does that mean? What how does that work? And Delsin, part of what makes Delsin an interesting character, at least, is the way that he wrestles with that. And I think Cole did that in the other ones too, from what I played of those and what I've heard of those. So I appreciate that about the Infamous games. And here's Reggie. Reggie is Cole's brother. He's a huge character throughout the whole story, and he has a really cool character arc as well. Goes through some stuff. The whole evil, good versus evil thing doesn't come into play as much as you might think, as much as maybe it did in prior games in the series. I think in this one it's just kind of like a difference in your personal preference of how you want to play the game. Doesn't affect the story too much. But the story is nonetheless really entertaining, and exploring the world's really entertaining. And it just surprised me how much I actually kept playing this game long after I finished it, which is a testament to how much fun it is just to play and enjoy on its own merits. So, this has been my Game of the Year for Infamous Second Son. I'm Daniel Jones. Check out theweekendpaper.blogspot.com, and peace.
Do it your way. I'll settle.